You've been read.
I wish to remain anonymous, but boy, do I have some tea to spill. I can't believe I allowed myself to go through this hell over someone who wanted to use me for her cosplay fantasies. But let's rewind. This is Fanime 2015 at San Jose, California. Maybe my 5th or 6th Fanime, but my 23rd con. Now, I'm not a professional, but I am a veteran attendee for my tender age of 15 at the time. I was super into dramatical murder, and I was cosplaying my Kojaku cosplay. On day 2, I head to the dramatical murder gathering early just so I could wait around and wait until it gets started. I come across an Ayoba cosplayer who liked my cosplay, and I guess I liked theirs. We exchanged phone numbers and tumblers, and I don't think much more of that. Then, the gathering started, and I had tons of fun, especially being one of the few Kojakus in a sea of clear and Ayobas. After the gathering, I left to do my own thing. I come across the Ayoba from before, but now in the dealer's hall. I asked if I could kind of stick around her and her friends, since my own friends abandoned me in a sea of attendees throughout the day. We actually had fun. We talked about dramatical murder, yaoi, usual weeby topics. We also took some photos in Pika Pika and played Cards Against Humanity. Now, about a month later, I get a text from Ayoba. Let's reference the girl as Becky, because her attitude sounded like a Becky. She invited me to come sleep over at her house during the 4th of July weekend so we could get to know each other. I didn't think she was dangerous or suspicious, so I agreed. However, as the day led up to July, Becky kept venting to me about her current partner was dragging her emotionally and only dating her out of companionship. I tried to console her as a neutral party, not trying to take sides or anything, but she asked this random question that literally goes from 0 to 100 real fast. Becky texts me, "Hey, I know you don't have to agree with this question, and you have every right to decline." I raise my eyebrow, wondering why would she say that. I ask her, "Depends on what kind of question." Boy, I really didn't see this one coming. She texts, "Would you like to have sex with me in cosplay as Kojaku and Ayoba?" And then she just, whoa, that was strange, especially since Becky was 19 and I was 16. Just let it sink in. Now, I knew it was wrong, but I wasn't dating anyone, and as long as it was consensual, my dumb 16-year-old mind went along with it. I dated out of the fun of it, not really realizing I was stepping into a whole adventure of crazy, and not of the good kind. 4th of July weekend comes, and I drove over to Becky's place. She lived in the same city as the convention center, so it wasn't hard to navigate. Where her place was, that is. We had food together, hung out, and did stuff. And I started developing feelings for her. And behind her dad's back, we were dating. It was all fun and games since it was only the honeymoon phase. I'd sleep over at her place every weekend since it was the summer break, and I didn't get tired of seeing her. We went through so much stuff, from helping running a zombie marathon run, sneaking in the barns to pet doves and chickens, and going swimming together. Becky was my world, and I thought I wouldn't trade her for anything. Until I actually got to know her, that is. Now, as a nerd dating another nerd, it would be natural for you to try out your significant other's, enjoyments. Sounds reasonable, right? You'd get out of your personal safety bubble and, see what your partner likes. I guess this wasn't Becky's game. She'd introduce me to shows and games she likes, but in a really bad way. Usually she would try introducing Doctor Who to me during midnight. Active Doctor Who fans in 2015? More likely than you think. That alone worried me. I thought Super Wholock died a couple years ago. But I understand some people join fandoms late, and there's nothing wrong in that. I was tired and really wanted to sleep, but I stayed up with her anyway so she wouldn't think I would dismiss what she enjoyed. Becky was passionate about Doctor Who as I am about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, when it was my turn to introduce my likes and fandoms to her, she would shoot everything down and wouldn't even try it. Oh, it was fine, it just wasn't her cup of tea. But it just bummed me out that she wouldn't even try it. Especially since her and her dad loved 80s rock references and, hello. However, I don't force stuff onto her if she didn't like it. I don't think she understood this on her part. So the rest of the night, we kind of just talked about Doctor Who and dragons. Did I mention she was strangely obsessed with dragons? Oh, every single weeb I know is obsessed with dragons. I don't know why. Back to the story. One night, while we were, I just like holding Becky and giving her kisses. However, something bizarre happened. I guess she knocked out for a couple minutes, and I was concerned. I gingerly shook her to see if she was conscious before she suddenly wakes up with a jolt and pins me and growls. I asked her if she's alright, and she just growls slowly, "Oh, Becky isn't here." And that was some freaky shit I didn't sign up for. Nope. Her whole attitude changes. She insists her dragon side was here and the real Becky is asleep. I didn't understand what any of this meant, but I listened anyway. I didn't know who was talking or if real Becky was out. Then this girl just kept bragging about this dragon in hiding and how she would defeat other dragons over territory. Now, I jokingly said I was a kitsune, as I love Fox, so she wouldn't feel alone in this, but I didn't fully comprehend that Becky was serious. We still resume, all of our stuff, and I guess the real Becky returns to consciousness before we sleep. But since then, there were no sudden more dragon possessions. I'm so glad I got over my own weird weeaboo and furry phase a whole long time ago. Now one day, we invited in mutual friends to watch How to Train Your Dragon. After the movie, we talked about next year's Fanime cosplay lineups. We agreed to cosplay Hiccup and Human Toothless. Now, I wanted to couple cosplay with Becky. I asked her if she was down to be my Nozomi for my Ellie from Love Live. She shot it down. Becky as my Kakyoin if I would be Jotaro. She didn't like the art style. However, Becky had the audacity to expect me to be her Angel Castiel because she wanted to go as Demon Dean. Now, I would agree to do this if she also did her part on bringing my cosplay ships true, but anything she did, she would just shoot it down and not agree with. I concluded that we'd go do our own thing, and that's fine, but I cried wondering why my girlfriend didn't like any of the stuff I enjoyed. She would ask me why I was upset, but I would just tell her it was PMS. By the way, I'm a trans boy, but my body likes to disagree otherwise. I knew my relationship and joy shouldn't be based off a silly series and fandoms, but it helps, and it wasn't just fandoms that I was getting upset over. I was upset because my girlfriend wasn't going to try anything I enjoyed, whether it was gaming, anime, food, anything else. She carried this demeanor as if she didn't care about me as a person and what my life was like, and that made me the way I am. But that's not all. When we would watch movies together, we wouldn't even sit together or do anything romantic. Becky had a long couch and she would sit all the way at one end and me at the other. Supposedly, she had a reason to do this, and that reason was to not be suspected of having a homosexual relationship. I told her it wasn't a big deal if we sat together and held hands, considering her dad was in the bedroom 24/7 talking to clients since he worked at home. Becky, however, didn't want to, and I didn't really want to make her uncomfortable, so I didn't really argue. So we'd kind of just watch silently her favorite movies. I'm nearsighted, and English is my third language, so I would always ask for subtitles that she would refuse to put on. So while I was sitting through a movie I couldn't even enjoy or comprehend, I'd go through my social media, only to hear Becky snap, "What are you doing?" She asked me in a tone as if I was a kid getting caught red-handed in the cookie jar. Pay attention to the movie. I roll my eyes, put my phone down, and try to push through the movie. Still couldn't do it, and I was getting upset. We weren't even allowed to hold hands or snuggle, and I'm expected to get into everything Becky was into as she refused to consider anything I asked. So I go through my phone again. She catches me, asks me what I'm doing again. I lied to her, saying I was texting my therapist. She didn't make a big deal, gave me a soft scoff, and just asked me to finish texting quickly so I could return to the movie. Nah, dog. I spent a few extra minutes I had on Tumblr before I had to push through the movie. This was now when I wanted to go home if I was going to have a bad time with my girlfriends. Let's fast forward to January of 2016 now. We broke up. We got back together right before Christmas. Becky asked me if I would be down to a sleepover at her house and hang out with her mutual friends during Fanime. I agreed and liked the idea. She lived much closer to the center, and I didn't have to pay for rooming. But she had a condition. Her condition was that everyone would go to gatherings based on popular vote and we'd all stick together. Now, I initially didn't have a problem with this, really. I didn't mind skipping other panels and gatherings, but being a diehard JoJo fan, I asked Becky if I could step out of the group and go to the JoJo gathering. She said no. I tried to negotiate. 45 minutes? I'll text you and let you know where I am. No. 30 minutes? No. 10 minutes? No. Okay, 5 minutes. No. We said we'd go to stuff everyone likes and agrees on going. So, none of the stuff I'm into, since everyone else is stuck in 2012 Tumblr hell with Super Hulock, Rise of the Guardians, Italia, and other fandoms that would be considered cringy. Okay. Yeah, okay. I was the only one who was into the more recent modern decent fandoms like Love Live, Final Fantasy, JoJo, and in short, I was in relevant newer fandoms and I was going into stuff that no one in our supposed group would agree into going. Oh, but what's this? We all went to a furry gathering because XXX had a fursuit and wanted to go. So why the hell couldn't everyone just kind of deal with just one gathering for me? If you all did the same for your now ex who wants to carpool with us. She didn't answer. But she told me she still wanted me to be her Angel Castiel. I tried negotiating with Becky that this condition of hers wasn't reasonable. Now we're 16 and 18, not 6. We have phones, we know how to text, we have decent Wi-Fi, and have maps of the center. And this was her 2nd year at Fanime, while this would be probably my 7th. I know this convention center much more than she does. I know the hotels, shops around it, but she still doubted my knowledge and insisted I would obey what she wanted or not with a room with her at her house at all. Becky was speaking to me as if I was a child and not actually someone to be trusted. This is when I had it. I was starting to put the pieces together. It didn't matter how much I negotiated. Ultimately, Becky wanted someone attractive enough to execute her cosplay ship's plans with her. She didn't care about me as a person, what I liked, what I tried to negotiate with. Becky wanted someone who would be attracted enough and agree to play out her ships with her. She didn't want effort into a relationship, and I felt flattered but also, insulted. We broke up. We never talked to each other again, and this was a relationship I was genuinely happy to be free from. I hope I don't get to see her in the future, because supposedly she would move to Idaho due to California's prices getting higher and she had family there. I spent so much time and money on a person who didn't even care about me. I didn't know that someone could be so fun, outgoing, and kind at a con, but the total opposite when it came to personal life. Maybe it's because a convention just naturally encourages some folks to be happier and outgoing. I don't know. But I hope my heartbreaking journey with a stubborn, crazy girl encourages other people to be wary of who they make friends with from cons. I met my best friends through cons, and I also made my fair share of enemies through it as well. Just please, get to know someone and make sure you can trust them before you start anything with them. How they act at a convention may be totally different than how they really are. Well, thank you, Anonymous, for sharing this story. I'm glad that you are okay, and I'm glad you're able to move past such a toxic relationship and onto something better. I'm happy for you, and I'm so thankful that you had the strength to share this story, and hopefully some people learn through this and through what you've gone through. Thank you.